Hey guys, welcome back to the Max Spence Business Podcast. Today I have a very special guest, but before I jump into that, if you guys like the content I'm putting out, the people I'm interviewing, please like, subscribe, leave a review. It helps out a ton with the podcast and also the people that are coming on the show. If you can go over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review, that helps out a ton as well. So today's guest, this one's a really interesting one, and I think you guys are going to get a lot of value from this one. So his name's Matteo. So he's actually, he's a serial entrepreneur that has founded and sold multiple businesses. The current company that he's currently the CEO and co-founder of is which is the world's leading sleep enhancement company. It's great having you on the show.
Thank you for having me. Super excited.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm the exact same. So why don't we jump into, for people that maybe don't know who you are, why don't we jump into a little bit more detail, you know, where did you grow up and what sort of got you into business and then starting Eight?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Italy, as you can probably guess from my accent. I moved here around 10 years ago. I studied for some time in San Diego before moving here. And yeah, I mean, I was an athlete when I was a teenager, and I became a lawyer. And I worked for two of the largest law firms in Europe. They're called the Magic Circle. After that, I started my first company in Italy that was in cleantech. Then I started a second company in cleantech in New York, and then I started Eight Sleep, which is our current company, and is focused on improving your sleep performance.
Okay, awesome. So we'll unpack all of that because there's a lot of like interesting pieces that you actually mentioned in there. Why don't we start from the beginning of going into law? Why did you decide to go into law instead of, you know, maybe starting one of these renewable energy companies at the beginning?
Yeah, so I come from a family of lawyers, and my family has very small law firms in my hometown. It is a small city in Italy. And so I grew up, you know, I was really playing tennis and doing ski races. So I was really focused on sport. And when it came time now to go to college, it was just the most obvious choice. And then while I was at college, I really discovered about these big firms, you know, these big law firms that they are focused on finance and, you know, big mergers and transactions. And I understood that if I wanted to get into any of these big firms, I had to graduate with honor and I had to speak English. At the time, I was not on a trajectory for honor and I was not speaking English. But I really liked what these guys were doing, at least on paper. And so I switched from sport to, you know, my first, you know, professional goal and achievement. And I got both done. So I came to the US to study English. I went to San Diego. And I also improved my scores and I was able to graduate with honor. And then I applied to a lot of different law firms and I was able to get in what is called Freshfields, Brookhouse Dellinger. That is one of the largest law firms in the world.
Yeah. And like for some people like that maybe don't know, there was two things that were really interesting about that was like, one, law is a really hard course, and then two, having to learn a language on top of that is even harder. Trying to learn law while you're trying to, you know, was the law taught in Italian or was it taught in English?
So at college, I studied law in Italian, but 99% of my job at this law firm was in English. And so, yeah, there were challenges there. We were at the beginning. But yeah,
I understand. Yeah, and I can see that. I'm always very impressed by people that always like, you know, that like one, like I could see it for myself is like being really difficult to learn another language, and then also trying to do business in that language is difficult on its own because you're in like a completely new world, right? So I want to jump to pretty much the renewable energy companies that you started, and how did that sort of start for you? You know, starting those renewable energy companies, and why?
Yeah, so at the law firm, I was doing what is called project finance. So I became really an expert of, you know, putting together large finance deals to develop real estate or infrastructural projects. And at the time, there was this super big hype in Italy and in general in Europe about renewable energy, because governments, they were offering feed-in tariffs for these projects. So substantially, if you were producing solar energy, they were paying you the energy an extra amount in order to incentivize the development of this business. And so myself and my co-founder at the time, we knew the Italian landscape really well, and there were a lot of private equity funds coming to Italy looking for projects to be developed. And so we started doing that in the night, something like I was finishing to work at 10 p.m. because in the law firm, you work until really late, and from 10 p.m. to like 1 or 2 a.m. we were working on our side project, and then the side project took off, and so we were able to bootstrap the company. We never raised money. And we scaled the company for 2 years, 2 years and a half, something like that. And then we were able to make an exit with a local European player. They bought our assets.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, well, one thing you said there is like you finish at the law firm at 10 p.m. and then you go home and you're like, all right, time to start my side business of building like an entirely new company. which is phenomenal and crazy. So if jumping a little bit deeper into that, I like that sounded really interesting. So you're saying that there's a lot of incentives from the government to have this renewable energy companies built, like for these spaces. Then you took what your knowledge was in the law firm of putting these deals together, these real estate deals or, infrastructure deals of, finding land and all that sort of stuff. And then you sort of branched off and started your own company. Like if somebody else was thinking about doing that, like is it sort of is it easier to, what I'm trying to figure out is like, for somebody that's wanting to start it, like, let's say in the US or Canada, would you say it's easier or harder compared to, the Europe market? Like, is Europe a lot more progressive with wanting renewable energy than the US or Canada? Or how would you sort of structure it now if you're looking to start a renewable energy company in the US?
Yeah, so when we started our company, I don't want to say there was a bubble, but there was really a huge hype because the government was paying an insane amount of money to these private equity funds that were generating this energy. And so we were able to leverage that. In Italy, it's very hard to raise money. And so the only chance we had was to be profitable since day one and bootstrap. But what happened at the end, and it was the reason why we had to sell, is then the incentive changed. And so it was a business that was very subject to this feed-in tariff, and the government started taking it away. And so then private equity funds were not coming anymore, or they were not buying with the same intensity and velocity. And so that is when our business got in trouble. And so at that point, the chance we had was to sell it before things would change too much. Mm-hmm. So right now there is not that opportunity in Italy anymore because there is no feed-in tariff, and so there is no business, and Italy lost the market.
Okay. So it was just one of those things that at the time it was a perfect opportunity to take it.
We were the right guys at the right time in the right place. And that was the chance of a lifetime for me to switch from a lawyer and become an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So how did you actually, like, before we actually jump into your current company, I just want to hear a bit more about how did you find that? Well, you were working insane hours, which most entrepreneurs do, is they work insane. Like you were finishing like law at 10 and then going off to work more. So how did you actually, and then once you left the law firm, how did you actually find that transition into actually running your own company?
Yeah, it was interesting because at the beginning I was almost scared. I still remember, the week before becoming officially 100% of my 100% of the time entrepreneur. I was wondering, but is there enough to do, or maybe I just had to work a couple of hours, 3-4 hours, and then I just don't know what to do. But then as you switch, you understand that work never ends for an entrepreneur, because now there are always new opportunities, new things to do, or problems to solve. And so I think working at those law firms was super valuable for me because it really taught me the diligence and the work ethic that then I needed as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what that's what I hear a lot from other entrepreneurs that have transferred from the law, from the law side into like, you know, something completely different in like business, like whether, you know, it might be in real estate or something else, they say like the law sort of side really sets you up for good work ethic strategies, you know, working those
Yeah,
heavy hours, be a very high attention to detail to your work that you're
exactly.
producing, all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff, which is crucial in being like a successful entrepreneur. So yeah,
Looking back, I think it has been one of the best schools I could ever had. I think sport mixed with law, they were a pretty good school because you really you really learn the importance of work ethic, attention for details, and keep going and being resourceful.
yeah, 100%. So now I want to jump to, so you're at the law firm. I believe you're in the law firm at London, right?
Yeah, between Milan and London, but both law firms are UK,
Yeah. So okay, awesome. Yeah. So
British
you're
law
in,
firms.
so you're in London. Then you made the transition into renewable energy, and then pretty much after you sold those businesses, you went off and started, you know, this sleep enhancement company. So where did this sort of start, and what sort of led? Like that's an interesting transition. Like what made you sort of go into this sort of sector of business?
Yeah, two things. On one side, I was not the typical entrepreneur working long hours, and I was trying to find a way to compress my sleep so I could have more time awake. That I could work harder. And on the other side, I had all this experience as an athlete, so I always thought about my health and my performance and my recovery. And so these two things they really merged. And I found my co-founders and I started telling them, look, why Elon Musk is taking me to Mars while I still spend a third of my life on a piece of dumb foam. Sleep didn't improve for the past 2,000 years. Why there is no technology in a third of my life and why I cannot compress my sleep. And so we started looking into that, and that is how 8 Sleep started.
Oh, okay, awesome. So like through pretty much, you know, being an entrepreneur, like you were saying, is you're trying to get the most out of your sleep, and then being what actually sports did you play? Did you play like soccer or football?
So no, it was ski. So I did a bunch of ski races, and then I really focused on tennis, and I was playing tennis tournaments in Italy.
Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah, so like that's another thing as well, is like when you're sort of like a sports guy, you have a lot of focus on how your body, like, you know, everything that goes into your body, how you sleep, how you recover, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, okay, yeah, that's pretty interesting. And then like when you get, so you saw the opportunity of being like, okay, well, nobody's really been like, you know, improving how we sleep for a long time. Maybe I can come in and make a change to that. So what were like the first steps of actually starting H, like your company? Like what were the first steps of getting that business up and running, and doing like it was probably like market research, or what type of stuff were you doing?
Yeah, we started talking to customers. We started understanding what were the pain points. We started looking at science and medical white papers. And now we understood that the first biggest factor impacting your sleep quality is temperature. And that temperature needs to be dynamic. So it needs to change during the night based on your biometrics and your sleep patterns. And so we developed what at the time was just a mattress cover that could be installed onto any mattress and could track your sleep, your heart rate, your respiration, with the plan to then develop a technology that could heat and cool you as you were sleeping. So we launched on Indiegogo. We launched a crowdfunding campaign. It was pretty successful. I think at the time was like the 16th largest in the world on Indiegogo. We got admitted to Y Combinator, which was an amazing experience for us. And from there, we kept moving forward. Then Khosla Ventures came in. They gave us the money to develop the heating and cooling technology. Then Founders Fund came in, and they gave us money to keep iterating on the technology and expand the business. And today, we have raised over $60 million, and we have several thousand customers reporting better sleep with our technology.
Yeah, and that's absolutely incredible. And like you were saying, is Elon has taken us to space, but we haven't been changing. Like we haven't changed how we sleep, and I think that's crucial because sleep is like you'll probably agree with this. Sleep is like one of the best. One of the best things for your body. Your body needs water, it needs food, but sleep is so important. And I feel nowadays it's like with like the culture of like work, people aren't getting enough sleep, and you actually see the effects of not having enough sleep against your body, right? If you're supposed to be getting 8 hours or 7 hours and you're getting 3 or 4, that's going to have a negative impact on your sleep. So I do want to talk about that because I like, this is just what I've sort of heard and what I've read, but I haven't actually read like an actual you guys have probably actually read like actual like case studies and documents about how sleep has affected. This is more like doing my own research and just reading things online from like what other people have posted about sleep and how it's very important. But I want to sort of hear your take on it. Is like, why is sleep so important, and why should people be putting it should they be putting it as a priority to have a good night's sleep?
Yeah, so health is based on three pillars: sleep, nutrition, and exercise. The reality is, without sleep, first, if you sleep 2 hours per night or you don't sleep for multiple days, you can die. But more than anything is your nutrition and your exercise are heavily impacted by your sleep. And the first example is that if you're sleep deprived, you will crave more junk food, you will crave more sugar, and in general, you will crave more food. So the quality of your nutrition will be impacted because there are hormonal changes in your body if you're sleep deprived. Second, if you're sleep deprived, obviously your energy levels are low, and so it will be much harder to exercise. It will be much harder to be focused, and you're also subject to a higher risk of injury. In general, then there is plenty of medical evidence that being sleep deprived can have an impact on your heart rate, on your blood pressure, can increase Parkinson's risk, can have an impact on your longevity overall, right? And so when you really think about your longevity and you think about your health in general, you should think of sleep in the same way you think of what you eat and how much you train. And that's why we call it sleep fitness. Going to bed is an exercise that you're doing to take care of your body exactly as you do if you go to the gym or if you go running. So make sure you get between 7 and 9 hours of sleep, and you will see the benefits translated in your personal and professional life, and also in your nutrition and fitness.
Yeah, no, 100%. And for some people, it might not be available for them to do the 7 to 9 hours, but over the long term, it's like something what you want to aim for, right? Is like you want to make sure that you get those 7 to 9 hours of sleep, right? Because they're so important to like improving your health. So now I want to talk about the technology that you guys are using for this company, right? And one of the key things that you guys, what I heard you guys define was the temperature, right? And how your product actually works. So do you guys have is it just a do you have one product where it's just a mattress cover, or do you actually have like full mattresses that you guys produce, or is it just a mattress cover?
You have both. So we sell a mattress cover and a full mattress. You can buy one or the other. You buy them on our website, 8sleep.com, and they get shipped directly to your house. The mattress obviously is a full mattress, 360-degree solution that you would use to just replace your current mattress. The cover instead is something that you can install onto your current mattress, and you will just retrofit it. Technology is exactly the same. And so we heat and cool each side of the bed at a different temperature. So if you're fighting with your partner about temperature preferences, you're going to solve that. But more than anything, through temperature, we will help you fall asleep faster, get more deep sleep, and improve your sleep performance overall. At the same time, both technologies, they come with sensors embedded in them. This means we can track your sleep. We can track your heart rate and your HRV, which is key for recovery. We can track your respiration. And in the future, we want to develop more health capabilities. So our vision is really based on two things. First, we want to compress sleep. What if you could sleep only 6 hours and get more rest than when you were sleeping 8 hours. And second, we want to save your life. As you are asleep, we want to track and scan your body and let you know if there is anything wrong with your health. So sort of preventive medicine. That is where we are going and where you will see us being in a few years.
Yeah, and that's actually really interesting that you brought that up with with the sensors that you guys are going to be able to because once you guys start collecting data, you can actually, there's so much crazy stuff and interesting stuff that you can use with this to produce other technologies or other things that actually can help people while they're sleeping, or like you were saying, is detecting illnesses or something wrong with the body before it actually before it actually happens. So other than temperature, what are some other things that people can do to improve their sleep at night?
Yeah, there are a couple of different things. So first, the most important thing that every doctor would tell you is what is called sleep consistency. So you should go to bed and wake up at the same time, also during the weekend. That's really important. You're training your body to fall asleep at that time and to wake up naturally at that time. That is one. Second, try to unwind the hour before going to bed. So I use Philips Hue, and they turn to a color orange, so that will help to develop melatonin, and it helps you to relax versus blue light. I also do mobility exercises or stretching exercises before going to bed. So in that 30 minutes to 60 minutes before bed, just start slowing down. From time to time, I take melatonin that helps me during the night. I take magnesium that helps you relax your muscles. And another thing that works really well for me is to do hot and cold showers a couple of hours before going to bed. So this sort of thermal shock will help you relax and start getting ready for the night.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, those are all great pieces of advice with that, and really making sure that you're winding down 30 minutes before, because a lot of people, and I'm guilty of it, is you move from your work or something, your laptop, to your phone, and then you're on your phone, and then you go to bed, right? And your brain's still still going, still racing, still thinking about things, and you don't really spend that's one thing that I'm conscious of, and I'm trying to do, is actually spending time 20 to 30 minutes before I actually go to bed, is shutting everything off and just sort of not watching TV, not reading, just sort of trying to just sort of calm down a bit. And that's what I've been doing a bit, is stretching at night, which helps. So now I want to talk about is, because you touched on it a bit previously about, you guys are collecting a lot of the sleep data of how your body uses, how your body sleeps and all that sort of information. What are the things are you guys going to use with that data to produce, are you guys going to produce other technology around that, or other products, or what I'm trying to sort of understand is with the sleep data, what can you guys do with that?
Yeah, so first of all, we can see how you're aging and provide you with advice around that. Second, we can provide sleep coaching. So everything is designed to really improve your own health and to help you live a better, healthier, and longer life. The key of our product is, because you don't have to wear it, you don't have to charge it, you will keep using it every single night for multiple years. And so we will see how all your biometrics are going to change over time, and we can tell you if that is trending in the right direction and is consistent with similar peers or not.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's very interesting. And with that, so with the mattress cover, is that are you able to actually control the temperature from your foam, or is there a device on it, or it's on your phone, or how do you control the temperature?
Yeah, everything is controlled through your phone. So iOS or Android, you can control both options. From both platforms, and you can have a control of the temperature. Plus, you can have access to all your data. We also provide content like stretching exercises or meditation or breathing exercises. Everything is in the app and is part of our technology and package.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So this business is really interesting. I like it a lot. But now I sort of want to jump into more of you as like a CEO and the co-founder. And what advice can you give in that sort of role to other young entrepreneurs that are maybe wanting to start a business in, the sleeping space, or like in the hospital, in the fitness space or something of that nature. Looking back on your sort of life, what skills have made you effective as sort of a CEO and an entrepreneur?
I think the duties of the CEOs are three. One, to set the priorities and the bar for the company. So what are we going to do and where the quality bar is. Two, hiring and retaining the best talents, in particular the executive team. And third, to make sure there is money in the bank because you are profitable or because you raise from VCs or other investors. So I think as long as you're focused on these three things, you're probably doing your job right.
Oh, okay, yeah. And then why do you think, like, there's with businesses, there's such a high failure rate, right? Within like the first year, within the first 2 years, within the first 5 years, right? Why do you think a lot of businesses fail at like that at the early stages? And from your experience and seeing like different things being in the business world, what were some reasons behind that? Do you think was the reason behind?
At the end of the day, I always think it's about product market fit, right? So are you really solving a problem for the customers? If yes, they will pay. If so, they will pay less. If no, they will not pay and there is no business. So at the end of the day, it's always about solving a pain point for people. So make something people want. That is now the famous quote from Paul Graham and Y Combinator. I think that's that's the reason why there are so many failures.
Oh, okay, awesome.
And it's part of the game, right? So I'm not saying that like there is nothing bad. That's the beauty of the United States compared, for example, from Europe. Failing is part of a learning process. So don't be worried or afraid about that. It's part of the game. You try something, doesn't work, you move on and you do something else.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I sort of want to touch on now is like from somebody who's come from a different country to the US. Like, did you run into any difficulty? Like, what one would have been the language barrier when you had to learn all that. But like, if somebody that's maybe deciding that, like somebody's, because I have listeners from different parts of the world. Somebody that's maybe listening to this who's in Germany or Sweden or something, and they're thinking like, oh, I want to come to the US and start a business. Do you think it's like one of the, like, I hear this a lot, is like, is it better to move to the bigger market or is it better to stay in your market, right? So you came to the US, but like people could still start, like you could have still started, like, do you think you could have still started this business in Italy? Or I think you could have definitely started this in like London or other places of that nature. But do you think it's better to go to the big markets or maybe stay where you are and sort of try and like, dominate that market, your local market, right?
I mean, obviously, I think it depends on the business, but if you're developing hardcore technology and you need to raise money, I think the US is the place to be. So unless you're able to develop and build a business that is bootstrapped or that doesn't need a large amount of capital until when it's fully proven, I think the US is the best place to be. I'm 100% convinced that that was the right thing for me. Then it was not easy, right? I didn't know how the culture here works. It's very different from how it works in Europe, but I think it's much more efficient. At the same time, there is much more competition because a lot of the best talents in the world, they are here trying to build the next Stripe or the next Amazon. And so being able to capture the attention and the capital from the top VCs is not that easy.
Yeah.
So it's all about that. No, is opposite metrics, better opportunities, but also bigger challenges.
Yeah. And that's very understandable. So I sort of want to jump now. It's like you guys have raised $60 million in investment and investment into this business. How did you actually go about doing that? Like somebody might be listening to this and they want to start a business and they're thinking like this guy's crazy, like raising $60 million, like, going in front of these venture capital firms, all that sort of stuff. So how did you sort of, how did you sort of raise that money? Like what strategy did you use, or how did you sort of negotiate those deals?
Look, at the end of the day, it's always a matter of, okay, what is your growth? And do you find the right partner that believes in your vision? Because it doesn't matter how well you're doing, you didn't complete your vision yet. In our case, everything really started by having a successful Indiegogo campaign. So to prove that there was a product market fit, there was an opportunity. Through that, we unlocked Y Combinator. Y Combinator was a big game changer for us because then we were able to do our first round. It was around $5-6 million with some good investors. Then from there, we made progress, but the next big game changer was really the round led by Khosla Ventures, by Keith Rabois, right? He was believing in our crazy vision, and he was bold enough to support us in that. And yeah, usually the negotiation itself depends on how many offers you have on the table, and the number of offers you have depends on your growth and your traction. But again, I wouldn't optimize only and always for valuation. I would, in particular in the early days, I would optimize for the right partner, because people like Keith, but in general, our board members have been incredibly valuable to shape the company, in particular in the tough moments.
Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah. So pretty much, and that's what I hear a lot. In the beginning stages of bootstrapping is bringing those right strategic partners on, whether that's like, the first capital or maybe somebody else who has a lot of experience in this industry is like crucial to actually the success of the business. So now, if looking back, if you could go back to like you were like I try and ask this question to a lot of like entrepreneurs such as yourself who are like have gone through this sort of trials and tribulations of building businesses, going back to like when you were 18-20 years old, what would you say to your younger self about entrepreneurship and building businesses?
I would say it's the closest thing to sport. It's gonna be hard, man. It's gonna be tough. And it's like in sports, right? Sometimes things are going well. Sometimes you're losing all your matches. Sometimes you get injured, and you have to recover. You have to get back on track. Sometimes you have hype, and everyone says, "No, you're the greatest." And some other times, they sell you like a loser. It's part of the game. At the end of the day, you need to be resourceful, in particular in the tough moments that you will have. Doesn't matter how fast you're growing, or if you're building Amazon or a business that will not work out. It's gonna be tough. So just go through that and be aware that when everything looks dark, there is a bright future behind the corner, and vice versa.
Okay, awesome. So before we wrap up here, is there anything you want to add? Anything else that was sort of on your mind that you wanted to talk about at all before we wrap up here?
No, check us out. It's sleep.com, 8 like the number, but in letter, EIGHT, sleep.com. And if you really want to improve your sleep and you're intentional about that, we can help. Our technology will do some of the work as you are asleep.
Awesome. And then if somebody wants to get into contact with you personally, how can they do that? Is it like LinkedIn, Instagram? What ways can they do that?
Yeah, I'm pretty active on Twitter. So if you want to know more about us and me, you can find me on Twitter. Is M, like my initial underscore, my last name. And so you can find me very easily on Twitter, where I'm pretty active. Most of our customers reach out there. And so I try to answer to them as quickly as possible.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show. It's been amazing talking with you and about your company 8, and talking about the sleep business and how you guys are building this database of information to help people sleep better and also compress the amount of sleep that people actually need. But yeah, thank you again for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.